Wait, warning. First off, if you still like Wonder Egg Priority after watching all of it, this podcast isn't for you. You should probably go away. Second of all, content warning. Just about everything that you would expect to see in an edgy anime is in Wonder Egg, but in particular, there's a content warning in this episode for suicide, sexual assault, and child abuse. And feet.
Eggs! Get your eggs here! Fresh and white eggs are here!
Welcome back to Anime Slushy. It's me, Cube.
What is this voice?
It's the voice of Egg. But you know what? So I'm Cube. Who are you?
I'm Feen.
But this is not enough power to discuss the egg. We need someone else. Who do we got here?
It's me. I'm Eddie.
Yes. It's time for a party, an egg party. We needed more power to do the justice to the egg. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Eddie.
I'm an artist. I make bad choices in watching anime.
Are you saying that this isn't anime of the year?
It might be anime of the year for the wrong reasons.
Tell us about your relationship with Egg over time.
Oh, so I don't actually watch a lot of ongoing anime when it airs because I have trust issues. So Wonder Egg had like 2 episodes out, and I was hearing a lot of good stuff about it, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. So I gave my trust to 2 different animes that season, and it was Wonder Egg and the Higurashi reboot. And wow, never again will I have this trust.
Wait, how did the Higurashi reboot go? Or I guess it's not a reboot, it's like another...
They were just like, well, let's just drop all the biggest spoilers in the 2nd episode without warning, and by the way, it's a sequel.
Oh.
But was it interesting as a sequel?
It's not over yet. The Answer arc is airing, like, this month.
Fuck. Okay, never mind. We'll have to reconvene or something.
But yeah, so Wonder Egg was like, 1st episode, slapped. 2nd episode, it was like, it's not as good, but you know, it's still going. And then the 3rd episode, I'm like raising my eyebrow. And then the 4th episode, no.
Yeah.
Gotta call it here. But I kept going because I had to know where it was going.
Hell yeah. See, this is a fellow woman of taste.
And I don't think they knew where it was going either.
It's funny, isn't it? Because like episode 4, I said, yeah, it's bad. Like that was more or less our reaction too. But I wouldn't have guessed that they were making it up as they went along, which seems to be obvious by the time you get to the end.
Yeah, there's no way that they had like an outline in front of them when they made this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even just the OP, there's no way you make that OP if you know what the show's gonna be doing.
Yeah, it was such an awful contrast. It's funny because, like, you weren't wrong about the Frill episode really changing the game. Because I didn't watch episodes 5 through 10. You only told me about them, but it at least seemed like you could follow what was happening episode to episode, kind of. But I've actually watched the episode 11 through 13, and I'm just utterly baffled the entire time. Like, it descended into complete nonsense. Like it's not just me, is it?
No, it's beautiful. That's why I needed to show you 11, because it's like nothing that's happened so far will prepare you for whatever the fuck this is. Oh my god! So you guys want to talk about our good girl Frill?
I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but first, so episode 11 opens with the whole like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rika wins. Chiemi's back. It's time to kill Mana and Pachoo. It's me. I'm Dot. Yep. And Rika freaks the fuck out and pees herself because it's very important.
Yeah, that was cool. The death of the Momoe's crocodile thing was pretty brutal, and it was good to see they stuck to their guns there, I guess. I don't know.
Oh yeah, like the way that you see Monin, like his shell shatters and stuff is pretty rough.
Yeah.
But it's still, he was just like a fucking dream Pokemon she had. I don't understand. It's like he was the most important person to her for some reason.
There's a lot to not understand with that whole thing. Like, why was this happening in the first place? You know what I mean? Who's running this world? Do the Yakas know that when they give you a dream Pokemon, it's going to get smashed? Do they know that at some like when you win, the insect head girls are going to turn up and not quite kill you? Like, do they know all this? Do they know that's going to happen? Do they care?
I don't know if we should wait until we talk about that, but I feel like there's no way to work out like how much of this is things the Akkas are doing and how much is what Frill's doing. Is Frill doing anything? Does she do anything?
Frill's episode seems to kind of imply that she's driving girls to suicide, right?
Which ones?
But the thing, and then the act, it sort of also implies the Akkas are trying to prevent that. But this entire system is about girls who have already died. So I don't know. Maybe we need to get through the episode
When we learned
first.
about Koito, obviously Frill didn't do anything with that, so what the fuck? Anyways, Ai's coming to the garden house mysterious zone at night, and Uraka's there, and he's like, sup, you want to hear this crazy-ass backstory? And she's like, okay.
Because I rewatched this like 3 times. This scene in particular where Ai like walks into the house, it's all kind of like mysterious because the lights are like turning on and the doors like creaking open and there's this whole atmosphere. And it's like, obviously it's not like supernatural, it's just Uraraka fucking with her. Like,
Yeah, because she gets to him and he's like, he's there. But so
like,
we turn the light off.
Like the paper that falls down in a timely manner about like the warriors, that was him. Like he just threw that down for her to read. Like
Wait, but where's Akka? Because he's in like the bug drone. But where's Mannequin Akka? Is he hiding behind things and pushing things around?
I think that's the implication. Yeah.
God damn it!
like this is their house, so they live here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they live here in this weird garden house that's under a subway or whatever the fuck. Anyways, this time flashback. They're human sonas. Uraka is my type of tired boy visually. It's unfortunate.
Can I just say quickly that for some reason, like just to be weird, like as he sits Ai down to have this conversation, they're sitting at a table that has like a birthday cake on it.
Yeah,
Like a
I guess he
grayed-out
wanted to
birthday
preserve
cake.
the memory of their birthday party.
It's like made out of clay or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just ordered a gray cake. They were like, please make the saddest birthday cake you can.
Well, I mean, they do that kind of extra stuff because there's all those photos of Frill where they like crossed her face off with a Sharpie like children.
It's all about the atmosphere.
Like they broke up with her or something. Like, ugh. Which,
She's canceled. Anyways, so it turns out they were super science boys who live together in a little science facility, but they aren't gay. Don't get it twisted. Super straight. And they decided to make a person for fun.
Yeah, this is the bit I don't get, because like we don't really find out what it is they actually do for this job that they have where they just sit in a room all day, but they kind of imply that they made Frill for fun.
They say that.
Yeah, they just decided to like make a daughter for some reason. And that's cool. That's cool, apparently. You can just take time off work to create a fucking artificial human.
Well, because it's an evil company.
Oh, okay.
Weren't they under surveillance this whole time?
Yeah, it seems like they're not allowed, like, it seems like they live in a tiny jail apartment. So the thing is that she's an AI, but she's still entirely biological. And I don't understand how the show conceives of AI, because it looks like they just make a flesh person and then, like, stick a chip in her forehead, and that means that she's an AI.
Yeah, her actual construction is very strange. But this show has an odd relationship with the concept of an artificial human anyway, so... I mean, I know how we're supposed to feel about Frill, but in terms of her, what she actually is, I don't get it.
My God. And she comes out like a creepy blank flesh baby and is like sputtering up liquid and stuff. And they're like, what's your name? We let her name herself. And she's like, because she looks at a shower curtain. And I guess Frill is close enough to shower curtain conceptually. It all makes sense.
Because it was frilly? I never got that part.
I don't know if it's a loan word or if it's just a mistranslation on the anime maker's parts. I have no idea. But it's crucial. Before they make her, they say, we wanted a being we could love like a daughter, unstable and complicated, like the midpoint between childhood and adulthood. 14!
This show's obsession with 14-year-old girls.
Yeah, as we know, episode 5 is the sexiest age.
Oh boy.
It's a beautiful age.
I was saying this before, but like the only thing that seems that the show can keep consistent throughout the entire run is that 14-year-old girls are the most beautiful, but also they're super dangerous, like women in general, and you can't trust them. That's
They just won't stop trying to fuck you.
That's the moral of the story.
yeah. How does this guy just make this show and no one cares? Why does he make a show that says that? And everyone's just like, cool.
Are you like, how do the police not immediately show up like, we?
Yeah, exactly. Where are the anime police? We need that.
Look, Phoenix, we gave her the traits a father would want his daughter to have. Cheerfulness, intelligence, humor. Being uncontrollable is also the essence of femininity. We had to make her a little irrational, like a true woman. This won't make anything that she does our fault later when she maybe does something irrational like we purposefully made her.
And this is also where the lip pops start, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, because she's in like a pool that they have on the roof and they're like, she steadily matured more than we could have imagined. And for some reason, steadily maturing means that you're swimming in a pool, splashing your dads, and then you go...
Really, really, really detailed animation of the lips popping. Like really shiny lips. Don't get it.
I want to see the script. I want to know what... Why with the lip pop? Eddie, tell me why.
I wish I could. I was honestly just really confused about a lot of the framing in this episode, including the lip popping. Because it's like, they framed it like as if she's like really super trying to like seduce them.
Yeah.
But then it's like, where did they go with that? She's just popping her lips a lot.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like teenage girl seduction in this episode, as it turns out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's like they're like, oh, we didn't realize that she'd matured into a sexual being, but it's not like she makes the moves on them, she just pop.
Yeah.
Pop lips. Yeah. Is that meant to be implying that something else happened? Or like I fucking hope not. But I don't trust this show.
They just very much love looking at her lips, just zooming in on her lips at all times.
Yeah. Oh, they love it. It's their favorite thing.
We just realized we unfortunately made her the sexiest age. Our foolishness.
God.
And then there's the whole thing where they meet the lady that Akka ends up marrying, and she's just some lady. It doesn't matter who she is because her job is to get pregnant. But you know what's not no good? She got pregnant with a girl. Oh no.
There's that weird little scene where Frill is talking to Uraraka as they're watching, like, you know, Akka and his pregnant wife, and sort of talking, and Frill's sort of talking to Uraraka like, oh yeah, you must hate them. You must really despise this woman because she took your brother away. And like, you know, do you blame him or do you blame the woman who seduced him?
She actually says husband, and that's the point where I'm like, so were they gay or were they not?
Yeah.
No, because I think she's talking about it from her perspective. Like, she's like, as a woman, when you notice that your man has been taken by another woman, do you blame him or do you blame the woman? And obviously she blamed the woman.
Right.
Because yeah, when she's pregnant and she's like, oh, it's a girl, Frill's like, that's no fucking good. I'm equally jealous of adult women or baby girls because I'm a fucking irrational woman. And so she fucking kills him with a hairdryer in the bath like you do, typical women.
Yeah.
I honestly thought that the woman that he marries was going to be a lot more important other than just popping out the baby, because they're at the restaurant and they're like getting to know each other. And Uraraka has like this dialogue where he's like, at first I thought she was a nice woman, but I guess we're not really good judgment of women. And then there's like this ominous frame for like a split second, like zoomed in on her face where she looks like she's kind of evil, maybe has other intentions. And like, I thought she was going to be a spy because of like their important job. And it's like, no, she just gets pregnant.
And then dies.
Look, this ties into my general theory that the artists working on this show had no idea what the fuck was supposed to be happening at any point. Like, what are we supposed to be stressing? Who's supposed to be the bad guy? Nobody told us. We don't understand.
I also think like this falls in with the show's other thing of like that there are two categories of women in the show. There are the important characters, and then there are the women who are just sort of there, and you don't need to think about how they would feel or worry about them at all in case they die and stuff. Because she's essentially like all the Suicide Girls after like episode 1 or 2. They're just weird, crazy ladies. Don't worry about it. You don't need to think about whether or not they make sense. It's fine. They're just here to die.
Maybe committing that emotional suicide. But oh yeah, I also forgot because before she kills the wife, there's that whole marriage scene where she's like, "I want to make more girls," and Uraka's like, "Okay, we'll make you like sisters or whatever," and she's like, "I want to make them to make sure they're not prettier than me."
Yeah.
And they're like, "This is fine," and that's how she made the Bughead girls.
Yeah, they just let her make some hideous Bughead girls. That's also okay as far as this work goes. This workplace is like really friendly in terms of letting you pursue your own stuff on work time.
They got a lot of cash to spend. But she just makes them in the tubes. You see like those flower Bughead things, and were they ever physical people? I don't understand.
That's a good question, yeah, because you only see them in dreams, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what part did they get the human bodies?
Yeah, it's like, do they only have human bodies in the dream zone?
Yeah, are they just heads?
Are their heads still floating in a tank somewhere in present day?
Yeah, like where Akka and Uraka like, what, you haven't finished, you just made heads, and she was like, it's fine. And they're like, cool.
Good. I don't want them to have sexy bodies that could seduce my men away from me. God, so after she kills the wife, you find out the baby survived, and then there's the scene that is the most iconic of this episode to me. It's time to kick Frill down the stairs and beat up a child who's very confused and shove her in a basement cellar because fuck this bitch. And she's like, it hurts. And no, it doesn't. Please, I'm scared. It's dark and scary. Fuck you. And he shuts the little girl in a box and good, I guess.
Yeah, he shuts her in a box that's like handily prepared with some computer monitors for some reason.
Which completely explains how she's able to serial experiments Lane it somehow.
I mean, I feel like maybe we are meant to feel in this scene that Frill's being treated badly or something, or that Akka's making a mistake, but it's still just, footage of a 14-year-old girl being kicked downstairs and beaten and shoved in a box and she's scared. Like...
Yeah, and they're doing all that whole like "fuck you, you aren't human," but it still hurts, and she's damaged, and she's scared, and she's a baby.
They just spent like all this time talking about how they forgot that she was a robot and she was like a real daughter to them, and it's like, this is how you would treat your real daughter?
Yeah.
It's so retro in terms of like, oh, we almost thought of her as a person, but then we remember that she had a chip in her head, and that means that she's in no way a person, and that's all that matters. And it's like, what is this, the 60s? What are you talking about?
Yeah. What is this, Penny?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she looks like Penny from Ruby. She's got the freckles and the orange hair, and much like Penny from Ruby, there's no way that you put those features on a robot unless that's just your fetish.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, cut to 14 years later, they leave her in that box for 14 years. Just like, that's fine. But the child, she's grown up into a sexy 14-year-old.
God.
And she hits on Uraka at her weird birthday dinner that she's having only with him for some reason. And she's like, hey, as I grow up, can you wait for me? Because as I grow up, I'll look just like mom. And I'll be just like mom so that we can fuck. And this doesn't have an uncomfortable parallel to I at all. It's fine.
Yeah, she does a lip hop. And she does I do like at least that she does the lip hop, and like Uraka is horrified. Because that's the correct reaction.
So was that supposed to be an indication that she was possessed by Frill?
Or being affected by, because the next thing that happens is she kills herself. Like, immediately. Almost immediately.
But none of the other girls that kill themselves do anything like that.
Well...
Oh my god, you're right.
Maybe if they'd actually been planning for Frill to be responsible for all teenage girl suicides earlier on, they might have. This is one of those things where I don't know how to take any of this because, like, what is Frill actually doing? And because so she kills herself, and then Uraka blames it on Frill because he goes down to the box where he apparently knows Frill is, and she's there, and they have this confusing conversation. Yeah, Uraka kind of accuses Frill of somehow making the daughter kill herself, and Frill's just kind of like,
look, she's got a lot of computers, and hyphen and dot exist somewhere somehow, and so she definitely did it. And she says, you sound awfully certain. So she doesn't say, yeah, I did it, which is weird.
Yeah.
I just want this to all be a huge misunderstanding and their daughter just killed herself because Uraka didn't want to get with her, which obviously means you gotta kill yourself. And so he goes and so he takes her out of the box and he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And she's like, why? I'm your daughter, aren't I? He's like, no. She's like, I get toothaches and everything, even though for some reason, and he sets her on fire and she dies, but not really. She's still alive in the cyber dream realm or something.
Oh boy, God. I'm just thinking, like, the scene where he goes downstairs to, like, accuse her of all of this in the first place, there's, like, a shit ton of cables going inside, like, her little coffin box. So I'm guessing Akka didn't even, like, lock it. He just put her down there, and then he was like, good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
but then
14
she's like,
years
I want to
passed.
come out. Please, I want to come out. So she makes it sound like she hasn't been able to leave the box. So what the fuck happened? I feel like there was no art director notes for any of these scenes, and they had no idea what was supposed to be happening visually. Why did she serial experiments laying down there?
I can believe that completely.
Yeah.
Is that why the episode was delayed? Because it was just a bunch of poor animators looking at the script going, how the fuck do we animate this?
What is happening? And the writer guy has just like disappeared somewhere because he knows that he's wanted for international thought crimes.
All of them having, like, different headcanons of what they think the story is gonna be like. So they're like, okay, we gotta do it like this, and then like that. And the storyboarders are like, I don't know, go for it.
Wait, so Frill is supposed to be sympathetic, right? I mean, it does just make sense. She was made by these guys and then put in a hole for 14 years by them, and then they're like, oh shit, she wasn't supposed to be sympathetic. What the fuck?
And the other thing is, like, you know, this is more or less the end of this episode. Is Frill dies. Also, they're mannequins now for some reason. Like you said, it's very Ruby season 6 episode 3 in that this is the episode that's meant to explain everything. And what the fuck did this even have to do with anything we have seen up to this point?
Yeah, because they say the guys made the Wonder Eggs. They say, so at least our dudes made the eggs. Oh, but then they also cut to the screens in Frill's box that are still on, showing all the girls wanting to kill themselves. But the Wonder Egg warrior girls, not other girls.
Yeah, or they're just really sad.
So
yeah.
Yeah, they're still active and they're still watching all of them. And sometimes there's jellyfish for some reason. I don't know what's with the jellyfish. It's like in the episode a lot.
Yeah, there's just shots of a jellyfish.
I think that's just a very like science experiment kind of evocative animal.
Even Dot and Hyphen have only shown up in like the last episode, like the episode previous to this one. We didn't even know there was necessarily like an antagonist. But like now we've just been introduced to this fucking robot who was apparently set on fire, who's not a robot, and okay, that's cool. There you go. That's all the information. Like what the hell? What has this got to do with anything?
And I runs away and cries after learning all that. And I guess, I mean, what else are you gonna do? She's just like sob, and the episode ends with the lip pop sound effect.
I remember so many people being confused just because of the last lip pop. Like, there was like a million theories about her being possessed in that moment, and then it's like, no, we just put it there.
Because I wasn't really keeping up with the fans so much. What were the theories at this point?
I just remember confusion at this episode particularly.
I don't think anyone was expecting this episode at all, but they were just like, oh no, Ai's gonna be next for like, Frill's gonna try to like tempt her to die or something, and it's like, I don't think so. I think they just put that there because they could. They just wanted to make it like very off-putting as possible. Always remember those lips.
The one before this was the episode with the trans boy, so everyone was just like, yeah, this show's still so good and woke and it's amazing, the rep.
Ugh.
And they were really focused on that. And then so when this episode happened, everyone was just like, I'm confused. I'm sure it's still a really good and woke and amazing show, but I'm just having trouble understanding what's happening here. The impression I got.
Yeah.
It's so scary in a compelling way.
It's funny you say that, Eddie, about I being tempted with death in the next episode, because that is kind of what happens in the next episode. Sort of.
But it wasn't like our eye, though.
Ghost Koito tries to get her to kill herself with her. Was that Frill?
Oh no.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, was that meant to be her having an encounter with Frill? But again, like, how would we
There's
know?
no indication of that.
Yeah, like that's like we get the impression from episode 11 that Frill tempts girls with death, and then episode 12, I sort of gets tempted with death, and it seems like she get. Oh, we can get into the episode, but yeah, it's. I feel like maybe there was an outline. There was a very, very broad outline, but none of the details had been filled in until the last minute, and it was all insane.
I feel like even the outline, like, can you imagine an outline that ends where episode 13 ends and looking at that and being like, yes, we approve of this for production. I guess let's get into episode 12.
Yeah.
It's, my first note for episode 12 is meeting time. Running out of money.
Yeah, it's slightly budget at this point. There's lots. We're getting into a period of the show where there's lots of long zooms.
Oh yeah, because this is like they're having that meeting on that hilltop place, and there's a lot of distant shots where you don't have to see anyone talking, and it's very cheap. And Momoe just had never told them what happened to her for reasons, because these girls never talk about anything.
I'm not clear about how much time has passed. Both Rika and Momoe's Pokemon have been killed. And so when did this meeting take place in relation to what was happening in the last ep when I had the conversation with Uraka? Like, yeah, I'm thrown by, I can't work out how much time has passed. Because it does seem weird that like Momoe's like still hanging around, but like also like he's here to leave. I don't know.
Well, at first they weren't even trying to talk to Momoe. Remember, they were like, I guess she graduated or whatever. And so now they're having this meeting with her, and they're like, why didn't you tell us anything? It's like, why didn't any of you try to talk to each other? But yeah, I assume this is shortly after Rika's died, because Rika's still very pissed about it, and she wants revenge for her dream Pokemon.
Mm.
And Nehru is also there. She still exists as a character. Obviously the most important character, actually.
It turns out.
And then there's that scene where Ai is fighting the haters, and she refuses to summon Leon, her chameleon friend, but the Akkas force it out. It's like it's important to them to endanger the pet, but also the pet doesn't get killed until you do the statue thing. So what the fuck is up with this whole thing, and why do they want that?
I think they just wanted Ai to fight. Even in the first episode, like, they were like yelling at her to like break the egg. When they were like the weird toilet paper thing, the toilet paper personification.
I miss toilet paper boy.
This is not one of those times where you're looking at them and going, okay, well, what's their motivation here? Why do they want her to fight that knowing that she's going to be traumatized? What's the end game?
Yeah, it's like, I guess they're just saying you have to use Leon because, you know, we made him to fight these things and you have to survive, theoretically. But then it's like, so they made the pets, but then it's an important part of what happens when you beat the statue thing that your pet gets killed. Because then later they say that if your pet gets killed, you're allowed to live. But why? Why any of this?
But the thing with the you know, if your pet gets killed, you're allowed to live doesn't seem to be an Akka or Uraka thing. That seems to be a Frill thing.
Yeah.
But this is what I mean about this whole system and the two sides that are at play, and like, who do they even care about the other ones in there? I
feel like they honestly just made that up, like the butterfly girls, because at the end of this episode, it's like she didn't really take life.
No.
Like,
no, they never do.
It's like she straight up just says, like, I won't kill you, and then like, okay, thanks. I guess you never needed to do that in the first place.
Yeah, what do they get out of it? They come up and kill your Pokemon after you've already done fighting, and then leave.
I think it's like the first one with Momoe is like it did it because that girl was like fucked up or some shit, and then the one that killed Rika's pet was apparently just copying the first one. So there's no need to actually just kill these pets. They're just fucking around. They were like, yeah, we can do it. What about it?
I wonder if they just added that line in the last episode because there was that whole thing where she's like, Frill will be mad if I don't kill you. And then she just didn't kill her. So I wonder if in the last episode they were like, we can explain this. Don't worry. You have to trade your pets and then you're allowed to live. It was totally our intent the whole time. Anyways, this episode is about a meeting dead eye from another world that comes out of her egg. And a lot of people were like, what parallel worlds are getting brought in now? But I was okay with it for this specific context where she meets her dead self. It almost works.
This to me felt like one of the earlier episodes where it was like, you're still kind of talking about suicide on a really conceptual level and depression and stuff, because it's like, this could have been a thing where it's like, this could have happened to you too.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And this episode almost touches on that. Like, she ends up meeting this ghost, our eye ends up meeting this ghost Koito, who seems to be sort of tempting her with the idea of like killing herself. And then the way she sort of gets out of it is by getting back to the other eye and making her admit that she regrets doing it. Yeah, I don't know. This it's not one of those things where this almost seemed like, this kind of makes sense.
It definitely makes more sense as an emotional finale than the actual finale.
There's still like a ton of gross weird shit in this episode.
So dead egg come out of the egg, and I was like, whoa, I guess the version of me killed myself. That makes sense. And you know why she had to kill herself? fucking anime eyes, god damn it. She never could have a single friend because one of her eyes is blue and one is brown, and it's the worst thing that's ever happened.
I mean, look, kids get bullied for stupid reasons, and you still feel bad because you're getting bullied. Like when I was in prep, I got bullied because my last name was Cherry, and people would just rhyme things with cherry, and it'd make me cry. So it's not the worst reason to get bullied.
Oh my gosh. Wait, your last name's so cute.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's why her little avatar is a little cherry bird, because her
It
last
all
name's
makes
Cherry.
sense now. I love that.
Yeah,
Or
but
anime slushy.
but in prep it was pain because people would go cherry berry, and I go and run away. Yeah.
That's just two firsts. But I still think like she could have just worn a colored contact if she was that self-conscious about it.
Yeah, but everyone would have
It's
known.
not like she has a giant growth on her face.
Well, it's one of those things that like it's sort of funny because this is normally something that like in an anime would be cool. They're the person with the heterochromia. They've got the different color eyes. Oh, they're clearly awesome. But in this one, it's suffering. Yeah.
I think that's part of why it gets me. It's like, it's one of those things in anime where it's like they have to have something physical that they're really self-conscious about, but we don't want to draw a character that doesn't look super cute and perfect. she has like, she's self-conscious about her cool anime eyes. And there's a flashback, which at first I did not realize was a flashback to when she actually killed herself. Which I guess she took like a lot of single packaged pills. I really thought it was condoms at first, and I was very worried about what that image
Me
was.
too.
No, it was pills.
There's just the way it was drawn. I was like, huh? It took me off guard. I was like, what's happening at this pool?
I'm already worried about like the teacher situation and stuff, so it's like, oh god. But no, I guess she took a bunch of pills and then just floated face down in the pool, and that's how she died.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Such an odd way to go.
Well, it's that thing of rather than weighing yourself down, you make yourself lose consciousness while you're in the water, so you drown.
Pretty extra.
Yeah, it is a bit. Our Eye meets up with Deadeye. Our Eye sort of talks to her and is able to figure out why she killed herself. But then like it does look like a moment of demonstrating character growth because Our Eye is like, nah, I've made friends. Shit's a bit rough, but I'm still happier than I was. And then she's like fighting, and Deadeye's like, oh, you're so cool.
It cuts back from that flashback to them like sitting and talking to each other about Koito and how like that's why Arai didn't kill herself is because she had her good friend, but actually not good friend because she says maybe she was a fake friend. I didn't know anything about her actually, but she still kept me from killing myself, so that's cool.
I actually really liked that idea when they introduced it, that Koito might be like, maybe to Ai, Koito was her best friend, but not to Koito, like, was I her best friend? I kind of liked it, because it's like, a lot of people just kind of make friends, like, when they're in school, like, just to have someone to hang out with. Like, maybe they don't really share a lot of interests, and maybe they don't stay friends after they graduate.
Yeah.
So I liked that aspect.
It does
for the
play
time.
weirdly though with like that scene where they're in the bunk bed together and she's like all up on Ai's feet and is like, let's be best friends forever.
Yeah.
Woo.
That was the one thing I didn't like from the first episode. And like, well, now with the context of like, well, she was just being fake and she just wanted someone to be friends with her as soon as she transferred in. Like, okay, this makes a bit more sense now. I'll allow that.
there is something interesting to this idea that like you might not recognize just how much you helped someone else. That kind of makes that idea interesting. But again, it's like the first episode where it's like oh yeah, there's something going on here. They haven't gone into a lot of detail yet, but there's something. This could be really interesting. But like, this is coming at the back end of the series when it's like, well, we know this show is nonsense now, so it's like, so it's harder to sort of pass.
And especially like for her to be like, maybe Koito wasn't great after all, and then what we learn about Koito next episode is just like, damn.
Well, yeah, there's that, yeah. But I feel like there's also something in a better show. There's something there that could have worked where the episode starts with this idea that Koito saved Ai. And that's sort of been the way I kind of felt about things too, because like if the show had made more sense, you would think that the Ai's driving thing for the whole show has been to bring Koito back because Koito was very important to her and she needs her back. And by the end of this episode, it's almost sort of like maybe accepting that Koito wasn't, potentially wasn't that good of a person, wasn't that much of your friend, and relying on yourself sort of becomes what the episode is almost talking about, because that's kind of where it ends up almost.
Yeah, I just realized, so the reason that Ai has come to that conclusion is because she found out the Koito information that we've realized next episode, because that's like the only thing that she could be reacting to.
Oh, that's true.
So now we know that the reason she's saying Koito wasn't really her friend was because she had this whole secret evil seductress thing going on.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, forget I said anything.
No, again, like this whole show, it almost works, but then when you get down to the details, it's like, this is horrible. Anyway, I'm interrupting all of our talk. Phoenix, there's a giant head floating up slowly as we're talking Phoenix. There's a giant head floating up.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the giant head.
So what's this enemy that shows up, Eddie? Tell us about the boss this time.
It's our super friendly and trustworthy teacher that we've come to love and know this whole series. And it's totally not been framed to be like a creep pervert villain at all.
Mm-hmm.
And he has an enormous head, just eyes above the water. Like, it was actually scary when they showed it. I was like, what is that? And he like floats up. Like, I don't know why his thing is just so different from the rest of the villains we've seen, because at least they kind of had that consistent, like, first they were like this regular person with like a blurry face and the lips, and then they turn into like this awful colorful monster. But no, he's just like a giant head with like 4 tubes of paint attached to his neck, and it's like pulling at his skin, so it's all gross and stretched out.
Yeah.
And he's flying and like in the sky, and it's like, okay, so this is where we're at.
For people who are still like desperately trying to figure out whether or not he's supposed to be a fucking rapist, this just like, you think at the end of last episode, you're like, okay, so he's not rapey. As much as the show makes it seem like he's super rapey, he's not. It's gonna be okay. He just likes her mom. And then Giant Head him comes out and he's like, haha, I really did want to fuck you, blah, blah, blah. But it's okay, because this is just other Deadeye's concept of him. Even though she loved him, he's saying things that aren't the good real Sawaki would never say.
But what?
Why are you doing this?
Why did they decide to introduce like this concept that like the villain isn't actually like that? Like it's just a misunderstanding. It's all in the suicide victim's head, and it's like, really? This whole time it's been like that?
Yeah, so it's like, what about all the framing that you guys did? What about when you showed us a flashback that was literally just Koito and Sawaki bumping into each other, him bumping into her from behind, and then she walks off after him?
Oh my god.
What the fuck was that TV show?
That scene kills me in particular, because in the same episode, there was a similar scene like that, except it's when Ai comes home, and her mom comes out to greet her, and then the teacher comes out from the room behind her. It's like the exact same scene, but mirrored. And I'm like, accident? Or just like they changed their plans? They were like, we're rewriting it as we're pumping out the episodes. We changed our mind.
It has to be, yeah, because, the only way you can read that flashback is, oh, they fucking, or something like that. Mm-hmm. So, but they're not, and he's been rejecting her advances, we find out later. So, what the They didn't know. The people working on the show didn't know what was supposed to happen.
To me, this all still makes sense, because the overriding arc of Mr. Sawaki is not all men. Like I said before. because this episode, the Mr. Sawaki in this episode is going on about I'm this evil predator, ha 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 ha, and and is doing all this stuff, and then our eye says no, he's not like that. I know he's not like that. That was just my female brain being fucked and saying all these horrible things about him because I was jealous. Like that's what I says when she's fighting him. Like.
Then Monster Him says, so even you were fooled by my public face. But we're not supposed to think that.
No, we're not supposed to think
He's
that.
still wrong. Pain. But this is how they get separated, because they both fall in the water and he does a little uncomfortable paint plop in it that I really didn't like. And that's how they get separated.
This is where we have this whole sequence where Koito shows up to our eye.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is the thing. This is why this seems like a frill thing, because it's Koito tempting Ai with the concept of death, which is such a vague thing anyway, but like she does that. But the reason so fucked.
Wait, before we have to cover the first thing that she says to Ai.
Oh,
That's very important. Says, look at those shoes you have on. Gross. Take those shoes off. We gotta show those fucking feet. It's feet o'clock.
I was losing my mind at this scene because I just didn't think they could fit any more feet scenes with Koito in this show.
Just you wait. 2021 is the year of feet.
Just every time she's here, there's something with feet, and I'm like, oh my god, I get it.
You like showing off feet. We understand the writer's barely disguised fetish. Yes, we get it.
Well, of course, they take their feet off, but because there's no budget, thankfully, we're saved from a lot of foot fetish imagery, because they're like running around with those little like floppy sock looking bare feet, because there's no money for fully rendered feet sometimes.
I'm sure whoever it was who demanded all the feet was very disappointed.
What's the point of this show anymore? But yeah, so evil ghost Koito takes sight of the roof, and evil Sawaki is saying, like, young love is much more pure. Adult love is horrible, like how I loved your mom and not you, which is horrible.
Yeah.
You should go ahead and die.
This is the gross part. This is the part that's like, yeah, this is the reason you should kill yourself, is that once you get past this age, the sort of love you have is selfish and gross. And that's why you should die.
No, but that's her misconception as channeled through him, so it's fine.
I don't think it was in this scene, though. In the other scene, where Mr. Sawaki's saying I was a predator, I comes out and says, no, you're wrong. In this scene, no one ever says anyone's wrong about what they said about young love versus old love. I just decides not to kill herself.
Well, she just say, but my mom always cared about me, I guess, despite her gross adult love or whatever.
Yeah. It becomes about whether or not her mum loves her and whether or not she loves her mum.
Yeah, he's like, so you should go and die, and she's holding Koito's hand like they're both gonna jump off the edge together, and she's like, hey, Koito, you regret killing yourself, right? And Koito's like, what? And she's like, hey, other eye, you also regret it, right? And other eye's like, yeah! And then she's like, now I'm really mad, which I don't get as a reaction.
Well, it's a callback.
It's their line that they have to say every time they defeat the enemy.
But she's not defeating an enemy. She's breaking the sky to get to her other self who she loves. What's she mad about?
She gotta fit it in somewhere. She's gotta make the quota.
That's my secret. I'm always angry.
Is she mad on behalf of Dead Eye, who killed herself?
I think
Mad-
that's the idea.
Mad at herself?
I suppose, or yeah. This is another one of those things where it's like, yeah, like even this eye, Dead Eye, I feel like we don't really care about, because it's like we focus for a bit on her saying, "I regret killing myself. I wish I hadn't done it. I miss my mum." And it's just none of those times in this show I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah, that sucks.
This is really horrible, but like but I guess with this eye there is like there's the implication that there's going to be some redemption, or at least a chance for her to save herself or something.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. But first, we have to see the very important scene where she talks to her mom, and there's only one way to cut to that scene. So here's Ai's bare feet touching up against her mom.
Feet.
Episode's so fucking into feet. And she's like, Mom, I support you being with a creepy teacher man who's totally not creepy and is totally fine. And that's her very important character moment where she accepts that her mom will date the teacher and not her and supports her. And she says, I'm done with the me that craved attention when she's like, and it's like, that's a weird way to describe being suicidal. I don't like it.
Or either that or it's like she meant craving the attention of an older man, I guess. Maybe.
That's still a weird way to describe.
Yeah, it is.
And she kills evil Dream Sawaki with, there's a lot of those Sailor Moon effects behind him, and I'm like, you don't get to do Sailor Moon effects. You're a horrible show.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, is this allowed? Are they allowed to use that? That's just straight up from Sailor Moon. They just had it, like, the stock images to the side. They were like, we're running out of time and budget. Let's just use it, throw it, whatever.
No one will notice. This is only for adult men. They don't watch Sailor Moon except for the ones that do. Anyways.
It's like, yeah. But again, this episode ties so tightly back to that first episode that was maybe good. And that episode had some of that stuff too. Like when she first does the jump and her weapon comes out. And I was like, yeah, that was cool. And at that point, I didn't mind them being a bit sort of slightly Sailor Moon-y effect. Whereas obviously, yeah, now it's a problem.
Oh yeah, and this one's much more direct with the purple background and the sparkles. It just is. Anyways, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Koito's back. See ya.
Yeah, it's just real quick.
Whatever.
Just real quick. Koito's there. Bye. But it's like,
yeah, it's because they cut back to that meeting between the girls, and she's like, I thought I wanted to hear the truth from Koito, but maybe I don't actually, and I don't care. And it's like, cool. What the fuck?
Yeah, I didn't understand that because she's like, I think I was grateful. And I was like, what are you grateful for? Please, don't tell me you were grateful.
Also, okay, wait, to spoil a bit, the next episode where we find out that what Koito's deal is, it's super fucked that Ai just takes his word for it and doesn't want to hear Koito's side of the story anymore.
Well, no, yeah,
That
no,
is
but
so
it's
true,
of course
though.
because he's a good man, and she was just she was a. I knows at this point that girls are unstable and deceitful, so it all makes sense.
At this point, I'm holding a tissue and I'm just ripping it up in my arms. I just realized.
I was gonna say maybe I guess the gratitude thing could be referring to her feeling the whole thing of her feeling like Koito saved her in a way, even if Koito, according to the show, is a bad person.
Yeah, I assume that's what it is. It's like, actually, it doesn't matter what happened to her. At least she helped me or whatever, so that's fine.
But then in the next episode, she's really broken up when Koito doesn't remember her. So fucking what the hell?
She's a little for a bit.
Fucking show.
Anyways, I've decided I'm going to become a warrior of arrows and fight Thanatos. I don't know how to go to parallel worlds yet, dead me, but someday I will, and I'll bring you back, and it'll be fine. It's a promise. Woo!
Yeah. Okay.
Just says that.
How does
So,
this mean?
is that going to happen in season 2?
This show cannot get a season 2.
Please.
It can't.
I want it to get a season 2.
I'll actually scream.
Cube, you want perverted, disgusting things like this show getting a season 2. It doesn't. It is not okay. It would be an indication that there is a lot wrong with the world if this thing. If we
already know there's a lot wrong with the anime world.
Yeah, we do. But if even those horny boys with the money, if they were to look at this and go, you know what, more money. Let's put more money into this. Let's give this man more money. No. We've got to cancel.
You're right. They need to save that money for the next season of Shadow's House, where we can see little kids be shipped with themselves and make ahegao faces. It's much more pure.
I mean, yeah, I suppose. You know where the money should go. Another season of Exarm.
Hell yeah, finally. Anyways, it's a promise. Everything's great. Super good. This definitely isn't a false high.
It's me, Kira, blah, 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 blah. That's plum.
Which, wait, who's this one? I thought she only made 2.
No, she made 3.
Made 3.
You saw 3 in the other episode.
But they never refer to there being 3s. I was like, you did this with hyphen and dot. Why doesn't Kira blah blah as Plum get a call out? Is it because he can't remember her name?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
God damn it. And so I recalled Leon into his Pokeball so that he can't be killed, which is very smart. And Then before we see what happens to her, they cut to that scene with the Akkas where Rika is trying to go in and she gets rejected. And they're like, with hatred, she'll be taken by Frill. You don't actually care about Frill, do you? As long as you can save Himari, the daughter. But why would any of them think they cared about Frill? They locked her in a box for 15 years. What are they even talking about? Who cares about Frill? Nobody does.
Yeah. The thing about this scene at the end is, again, they're just going out of order for the fun of it, in a way that I don't think helps or does anything.
It's very confusing.
It's awful.
Yeah.
I had to rewatch that last scene like 7 times just to understand what was going on.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah. So I want to hear what Eddie. You explain what happened from your perspective.
Okay, so I actually finally got it clarified like today what actually happened.
I want to know if it's the same as what I think happened, because I think me and Phoenix have different ideas of exactly what.
So
Yeah, I think, yeah.
what's the girl's name? Kirara or something? She so she throws this like boomerang and Ai uses her weapon to like block it, but it's too strong and then it like it pushes her back and she like knocks into the gates in the background. And I guess it like just knocks her out all the way over there. And from what I'm assuming has happened is that the Deadeye saw that and was like, oh no. So she runs up to her and she hears Kirara say that she wants like shiny things. And I don't know how she knows this, but she touches like our Ai's like face and like kind of rubs her thumb against like where their blue eye should be. Like she just instantly knows what this girl wants from them. So she like stands up, I guess, to protect our Ai, and then the Kirara throws her boomerang thing and then takes her eye out, and then our Ai wakes up for some reason.
Yeah, that's what I thought happened.
Yeah, you agree with Fiend. See, my impression was that so we see her get the eye on the boomerang, and then we see our Ai laying on the ground, and Deadeye is over her, and we see her touch the eye that we can't see whether it's gone or not because of the angle that they chose.
But it feels like it's gone already because of the way the skin pulls back.
So my impression was that she sees that eye is missing an eye now, and so I thought that she gave her eye because she's kind of touching her own eye, and then the next time we see it cuts to her lying on the ground with the dead eye with her eye gone. And so my impression was that she just real quick popped her own eye out and gave it to Eye.
That's what I originally thought would happen until I like rewatched it like today. I was like, oh wait, is that what actually happened? Like she didn't rip out her eye? Because I was trying to figure out how they switched, like...
because when you see someone get hit, it's from the back of her, so you can't tell which one it is.
Yeah, but that's the whole stupid trick the thing is playing, where it's like it's just going out of order for the fucking sake of it. So there's like 3 scenes. Scene 1 is our Eye trying to deflect the boomerang but failing and getting knocked out. Scene 2 is Deadeye looking at knocked out Eye and recognizing the eye thing. And then scene 3 is Deadeye standing up to face what's her name, who's saying, I won't kill you, who then wangs her with the boomerang and her eye comes off.
No, I could have swear the boomerang thing happens before the laying down thing.
Well, no, it does. That's the thing. Like, those are the 3 scenes, but it happens in the order of scene 1, scene 3, scene 2. They show us it out of order, for which they've been doing all episode for no fucking good reason.
I maintain she popped her own eye out and just went ahead and stuck it right in there.
Look, if you want to believe that, I'm not going
to.
Look, it doesn't really matter.
No.
I wouldn't put it past them to be like, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Either way, our Eye is just lying on the ground after waking up and is like, thank you. And that's the end of that.
I love her extremely goofy hand when she's like touching her face like after waking up.
Her budget hand.
Yeah, it's just so large, and there's like they usually draw like the fingernails, I think, but it's just gone there.
Yeah, there's a lot of faces to this episode that are just like, ooh. Oops.
Yeah, they ran out of money.
For like, what, 2.5 months, that was the whole show, while everyone waited for the true finale that was, they're like, wow, that was like that was something, but we need answers to all these things. We gotta get, the conclusion with Frill and everything. we finally got the conclusion to everything. And at the end of June, it came out, and it was the true finale. It's so good. The fucking way that it went down with them being like, actually, it's an hour-long double finale, special finale.
This is like rubbing my little hands, being like, oh, this is going to be so good. They're going to pack so much information into this baby.
And they took all their time so they could animate it well and everything.
Yeah.
And then the first half is a fucking clip show because this isn't a double-length finale. It's just the original finale episode they weren't able to get to in their lives.
Oh, hey, quickly, before we move on, there was something we should have mentioned. Eddie, do you remember in the fight with Mr. Sawaki head paint thing, there was a bit where he talked about how handsome he was?
Maybe?
Yeah, at one point he says, he has some weird line about how, like, it's okay for you to be jealous. Things are easy when you're handsome like me, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, okay. So
when you have a pretty face and it's easy to fool people.
Yeah, that's the one. So here's the thing. Someone pointed out that the guy who wrote the show, they put a photo of him next to a picture of Mr. Sawaki. They look awfully similar.
The hair is definitely the same.
Yeah, it really seems like Mr. Sawaki was modeled off the writer.
Cube actually showed me that like earlier today, and I was like screaming, "No! Please don't tell me it's true!"
I want to think that the character designer like subliminally was like, "I feel it. I feel that this is a self-insert. I can sense it."
Because it really is like the hairstyle definitely copy and paste. Obviously, it's a bit hard to tell with the rest because, like, how can you just translate, like, real life into, like, these generic, like, anime features? Yeah. Like, all the girls look the same.
Yeah, they do.
So...
No, Momoe looks like a boy. She's such a boy.
But it's like, it fits, the idea of him being a self-insert fits with all of the stuff about how he's totally innocent and you shouldn't trust girls. Like... For my sanity, I want to believe it's a coincidence. Because, no. It's so, if that was intentional, yeah, it's so fucked up.
And yeah, this is something I mentioned to Phoenix while we were doing other things, but I read more of that old manga of his, the one with the horrible one with the trans friend. And part of that story is that the trans friend is dating the teacher, the art teacher who makes a creepy painting of the trans friends. And the only problem is that they have to break up because the teacher is gay and the friend is actually a trans girl. So our guide explains that to him, and that's why they can't be together.
Yeah, no.
And that's the only problem with him dating a young teen.
I can't. It's so beautiful.
This is a self-insert. Oh no.
It's just so beautiful that people were pointing to that thing as a way of trying to explain how woke he was, and it was just so clear that no one had fucking read the thing. Because it's so
also
bad.
The trans friend dies.
Yeah,
and the main character gets with a random girl.
No. But why the trans friend dies is fucking perfect. The trans friend dies because she goes to get gender reassignment, gender confirmation surgery.
Okay.
But it turns out in this world, everyone is born with a good gene, like a good person gene or a bad person gene, and that determines what happens to you in surgery. So the trouble is the trans girl had the bad person gene, and because she, quote, indulged her desires by getting gender confirmation surgery, she dies.
I quit.
she like once right after she wakes up from surgery, she's like, the darkness, and the main character's like, you have to use feminine pronouns for yourself. You have to accept that you're a girl now. Say watashi, and she does, and then she seems better, and then it cuts to him waking up and she's killed herself.
There is no way this is the same manga I've been hearing about since like episode 4. That about the writer being like, it's okay, the writer has experience in these topics. This can't be the same one. Say psych.
Everyone is full of shit.
But it's exactly the same as like the show, in that the trans person, the actual trans character, is just there to suffer and service the plot of some straight person.
Oh, sounds familiar.
Yeah, because that's what happens in the manga. Is it's like in the end, it's just this story of this guy telling the story of how he had a trans friend once, and wow, I had a trans friend.
Yeah, and I remember, like, people were insisting, oh, and they get together at the end. They're the couple. No, he gets with some other girl who's just a cis girl, and the trans friend is dead. What was anyone talking about?
Yeah, yeah, that's just this guy. How is he?
He's a criminal.
I'm fascinated by this dude because like he's had like a long ass career in live action drama. And some of those shows have been fucking weird too. Like the other one people kept pointing to was the show that had lesbians in it. And it turns out the plot of that show is that it's two women who, because they're working women and they rejected, you know, going out and dating men, they've run out of time and they just can't get a man anymore. So they start dating each other just for the sake of convenience. So they're not actually lesbians.
Yeah, and he made it very clear they're not actually gay. He doesn't see it as a story of women being gay. They just kiss each other and live together, but they're not gay.
Yeah, they just do.
Okay, I was almost with it until it was like not gay though. What? What is
Yeah,
the
sometimes
point?
you just don't have time to date men, so you're just like, I guess I'll be gay, but not really.
Oh my god.
You know, J-dramas are like soap operas. They're super like trashy a lot of the time. So I think that's just the world that he lives in, is you make these like really weird, trashy, episodic stories and they go on for forever. So you don't have to have like a tight story planned for them. And this is what happens when you make a 13 episode anime with that same mindset.
Is this like his first anime? So he went from manga to live action to anime, and like he's just consistently had this like live action drama like feeling through all of them.
I guess so, yeah.
I don't know who got him. Who was like, hey, you want to write an anime? You seem qualified.
There's so much going on. This is like actually watching Wonder Egg. It's like so much is happening and I've already forgotten what's happened before because this new bullshit is like, what?
Wonder Egg happened in real life with people lying to us about these other things he made. Like, what reality has changed? Is this a parallel world?
It's just, yeah, this guy's fascinating in a way. Like, I want to know more. But obviously it's hard because, yeah, all the articles about him are in Japanese and shit, so you've got to rely. I mean, that was the thing. Like, there was that one article that people kept pointing to as maybe he was weird. But all they had was, there was that weird line about how, you know, women today, they're always holding hands and going to the bathroom together.
Well, like, that's not what it said. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, what is this weird thing of...
That's what I'm saying. It was just you couldn't rely on that because it was just a bad translation. But like,
Yeah.
You shouldn't be looking at article. You should have been looking at his work, because that's where all the fuck shit was.
Well, I mean, that's the same article where he said that it wasn't really a story about lesbians, but you know, no one could actually read it, so everyone was just like, auto translate mentioned something about holding hands in the toilet, so that sounds funny. We need people doing the fucking real research, and that's what we're here for. So you guys ready to dive into the true finale? Are you ready to answer all the questions?
Oh my god. I will need to ask this question. Was I the only one that went through the entire recap for this hour-long special?
I scrubbed through it.
Because the first few minutes, I was like, oh, okay, they just want to refresh us because it's been a while since, like, the first few episodes. And every time I kept thinking, it's gonna be done soon. It's gonna be done soon. It was like 23 minutes in, and I was like, how much is left? And it was like, 2 minutes. It's 25 minutes long.
Yeah, and it's like, you would think that they did that because they needed to remind you of all the stuff that they were going to wrap up or whatever. But considering what happens this episode, I don't know why they decided to make it an hour-long special. It's not like we needed to be refreshed on all those things that don't come up at all.
Yeah.
They answer like 2 important questions and then like bring on like 800 more new ones. And it's like, what was the point? Why did you do this?
Everyone was waiting like 3 months for this, and then it's like, oh no.
It looks real good too.
Oh my god, yeah, it's so funny because it's like after watching this one, you go back to the previous episode, and it's like, oh, this one wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like full-on Evangelion episode 25 and 26. Like, we have no money and no time to do this.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna have abstractions with no animation for minutes on end. Like, it's properly like, yeah, we're fucked.
Nehru's talking to her feet. It's very important. And see, this is the only time when I'm like, okay, so the feet thing is her being. This is the annoying thing about the show being so like out of order, because now I'm wondering if this scene was supposed to happen after the dream, the final dream, I guess. So this is her after she met Frill in that final dream, and so now she's talking to her Frill self.
I think that's what happened personally. Like, it's doing that annoying thing again where it's like everything, the whole episode is out of order.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it better.
No, it doesn't. Maybe it just hides, like, it's almost like they're trying to hide how nonsense the story is. They're making it,
Yes.
out of order so people can go, oh, it's arty. It's like Pulp Fiction. It's like, no, it's just bad.
Yeah, because like we see her talking to her feet, and then they cut to that scene where she just runs into I, and they're like, "Hey, good weather, right? Yeah," and that's the scene.
Yeah, because the thing you need to understand is they're really good friends. They are the best friends now. These two.
Hey, good weather, huh? And then I like is looking at a bus pass by, and she seems to like really be staring at it, and why?
I think it's also when we say that Nehru was talking to her frill self, she's sort of like weirdly laughing to herself.
Yeah, she's like, "There's no place for you anymore," blah blah blah. So theoretically, it seems like it's Frill being like, "You should kill yourself," because she goes missing this episode, and I think the idea is that she killed herself because we see her lying in grass, and I think that's supposed to be like, well, she's dead or something.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm like listening to this and I'm like, I feel like I'm already very confused of something I've rewatched 3 times.
Look, it's not your fault is what's important.
So wait, I need to clarify this. I need to clarify what the hell happens like literally at the beginning of this, because I need to make sure I got this right.
Okay.
All right.
So,
I mean, we'll try to help. There's no guarantee.
You will try to help. I am of no help here because I don't know what happened to her.
So Nehru, like, she wakes up, she talks to her feet, and then she goes to meet up with I at the bus stop. And I'm guessing this is just like Nehru being like, hello, goodbye. Like, she took her rat with her, and I guess for I to take care of, but like, what was the order of these events? I'm assuming Nehru gets on that bus that I was like staring at because he just leaves. Like,
but she's still there
anymore.
when I's staring at the bus. The bus seems to.
No, they say bye to each other, don't they? And she like turns around, she walks away. So I'm assuming she's getting on this bus.
But like I is staring at the bus as it's driving away. like there was no time between cuts for Nehru to get on bus. But I think that's supposed to maybe be what happened. But also I think maybe the Nehru talking to her feet is supposed to happen after that at some point.
I think
because
I think what happened was I and Nehru bumped into each other by accident while Nehru was on her way to leave Adam the rat at I's place with a letter saying I'm going away, possibly forever. But she didn't want to say any of that to her in person.
Okay, yeah.
And that would have happened after the bit where she's talking to her feet. So she's gone off to end her life, basically.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, thank you.
I think there's a good chance that there was supposed to be like a few shots this scene where Nehru gets on the bus and I is like watching as the bus leaves, Nehru having gotten on it, but there was like a miscommunication and so there's like no way Nehru actually got on that bus.
Well, no, the bus leaves and Nehru's still there and then they just sort of both walk off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
so
the
it's
weird
impossible.
thing. Like that they don't just go and hang out because they're such good friends.
Yeah, but yeah, that's this episode. There was no time. But first, I wrote down all the dialogue because they really quick have to let us know what we were told about Koito, the very important what happened to Koito. She caused problems with a male teacher at her last school. He committed suicide after that, although I'm told he had a family. She contacted me frequently as well. She asked me to come to the roof that day. She even threatened to jump if I didn't. Apparently, she shouted that I had raped her and anything else she could think of. Then, when no one was watching, she lost her balance and ... Which is literally, there's no way he has that information because he's saying that when no one was looking, she accidentally slipped and fell. So if this wasn't an insane show, this would be him lying. He's full of shit. This should be a lying man, but we know he's not because he's supposed to be great.
There are so many things wrong with this one scene where this dialogue happens. Especially the part where, like, apparently nobody was looking, but then they show, like, all these students watching Koito at the edge of the roof, like, screaming. And it's like...
Again, I think it's just a shot mistake.
Personally, if someone was on the roof, like, on the edge, and they were, like, screaming about being raped, I wouldn't look away, like, for a second. So how did everybody on the roof look away and she just, like, she slipped?
I don't think anyone was supposed to be on the roof with her.
There's also the meta aspect of, at the start of this show, Koito was probably one of the most important characters, and what happened to her is, like, the big mystery. And they deal with this in 30 seconds. Like, we just find this out and it's done.
Awful.
And yeah, the main thing, it's awful. This is such an awful thing to do and say and put in your show.
She caused problems with a male teacher at her last school by him having sex with her, which was her fault and not his.
Or just false accusing him or something. Like, this is what it seems to be about. Like, her thing is that she goes around falsely accusing men of rape. That's cool. That's a thing that happens all the time.
But she also she wanted to meet up with Mr. Sawaki, so it sounds like she just did that because he refused to bang her.
Maybe.
That's what I was thinking too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there's like these scenes where, you know, like, she's like
attention.
alone in the room with him, like all like hugging up on him and stuff. Like, like it was so clearly the framing was supposed to be that something was going on between them.
Apparently she was trying very hard for that to happen.
Yeah. I think that's the idea. She wanted him to bang her. He refused, and he's an innocent man. And so she was like, "Wow, he raped me. Wow, I'm an evil girl." Blah. And he's like, "Oh man, I'm a victim." He just can't. He can't get away from all these teen girls throwing themselves at him. It's so hard.
It's just this is such a gross show. This is such a gross outlook on the world. There's so many things in this show that are like this, where, you know, teen girls, they'll do this sort of stuff. They'll try to fuck you and then accuse you of rape. But also, like, you know, I can paint a picture of a girl aged up and meet her alone in a room, and that's also cool. Like, this is what I mean by this man. How do you look at this show and give this man more money? Like, this is like a fucking confession. This is like fucking OJ's book, If I Did It. Like, this is fucked. How is an entire industry not, like, deeply side-eyeing this man? It's so fucked up.
And, like, the very idea that she was shouting to everyone at the school, "Mr. Sawaki raped me, etc., etc." And nobody remembered that or talked about it, or it ever,
You know,
never
the
came
whole
up
school
in
would
it,
have
or
been
I
talking
heard
about
about it.
Yeah, I never heard about it. I didn't know. Yeah.
So yeah, the story makes no sense, but I guess we're just supposed to believe that it's true because it's a bad show and everything's awful.
Oh.
So that's cool. Koito done. Fuck her.
Yeah. Well, she's not done, though. She's alive.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So I has to go see Koito, and there's gonna be the best scene visually. But Koito. So she's like, "Koito, hey, you're my best friend, right?" And Koito's like, "I don't remember you," or something. Bah. And she has some other friend, and she's being all cold to Ai. And it's like, "What the F?" And then Ai's like, "This is horrible. It's time for me to turn around and run towards the back of the screen. Here I go."
It's a very badly animated run.
Yeah, it's super low frame rate and very looped, and it's just very funny. Like,
It's my favorite part of the episode. I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, people already like clipped it out and made little clips because it's the best.
There's a bunch of things going on in this scene as well, like, because, yeah, Koito's doesn't remember her, and Ai says the whole thing. Ai makes this speech to a Koito that doesn't remember her and some other person about how you said my eye was beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And then the other two just sort of talk past Ai. So Ai's showing off her two eyes, her horrible heterochromia. And
Yeah.
the other girl goes, "Who's this?" And Koito goes, "Oh, that's Mr. Sawaki's new model. He's painting her for a competition." And the other girl's like, "What? Her?" And that's when Ai runs off. And It's still so funny to me that, like, this world, everyone is so disgusted by heterochromia. By her rad anime eyes. They just look at her and go,
But, like-
ugh! Imagine painting her.
Not enough to like know who she is or whatever.
Yeah, well,
like,
there's that too. But yeah, it's just so funny. That, like, yeah, this is like the thing that initially struck me about this show when there was no promos or anything. It was just a poster of Ai. It was like, oh man, Ai's cute. That's a cute design.
well, yeah, she's a moe anime girl.
Yeah, but this show insists that she is hideous. It's just
Yeah, and Koito's like, I always knew Sawaki-sensei was a really nice guy, painting her even though she's got that different colored eye.
Yeah.
How nice of him.
yeah. It's amazing. Did we cut to karaoke?
No, now it's time for the radio play while I runs in the rain.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So what's supposed to be happening in this scene is that Ai goes to the building where Nehru lives and sees someone that she thinks is Nehru, and she's like, sorry to bother you at work, and Nehru's like, I won't be your friend, bleh. And she's like, what? And then the other Nehru that's in different clothes than our Nehru is she walks away from her at the building. But because they only had money for like 2 shots of that, the rest of the scene is just Ai in a rain void running while the dialogue plays over it. So you really have to fill the scene in yourself.
We later find out that they were at the office
Yeah.
because there was nothing to indicate they were at the office.
They just had the one scene of her walking away, like in the lobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you see her run into not Nehru in the rain void, but then later there is that shot of her walking away in the office with the secretary. So that's where this entire scene was theoretically happening,
Amazing.
in theory.
Just the looping of her running in this like flood. There's like so much water on the floor. And I couldn't tell if it was like a reflection on the pavement or if she was just running through all this water.
Yeah, is it supposed to be like a magical dream space, or is it just very low budget? I mean, both, I guess. And then all of her photos of Koito are gone, and for reasons, and she throws her phone down and it cracks out of frustration. Karaoke parlor, blah, 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 fake anime girl bad singing, blah, 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 blah. And she's hanging out with Rika and Momoe, and she's like, oh, by the way, Koito forgot who I was. Apparently there's like reality noise when we bring our friends back, and that's why. And the other girls are like, oh, makes sense.
Yeah, because their people forgot them as well.
It sounds like things are much better for Chiemi without remembering Rika, so that's good.
They start like bitching about like the fact that the people that they've saved don't like remember them. What really got to me was like Momoe being like, I forgot her like lesbian friend's name.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
But she's like upset that this girl that she rejected and didn't like has moved on or has liked someone else.
Yeah.
Like got a girlfriend who's like an upperclassman, and it's like, why do you care? You're straight.
Yeah, she's like, what even was her love for me then if she's willing to love someone else?
Yeah, and it's like, you have been nothing but bothered by every advance made on you by a gay person this entire show.
I hate Momoe.
It's terrible.
If Rika's bitching, like, I get it, like, she's a bitch, she's awful, but like, I don't know, I feel like the show wants me to like Momoe, but I really can't.
No, Momoe's kind of worse.
Yeah, she's supposed to be a nice girl with a lot of problems with her femininity, and we're supposed to embrace her, but actually she's just horrible.
Yeah, she's kind of worse than Rika in a way. Like,
She is my least favorite.
yeah, Rika's kind of a bitch, but Momoe's like edging pretty close to being a homophobe.
Well, especially in that one scene with Kaoru, the trans boy, where she's like, let me guess, you like me even though I'm a girl. God damn it.
Even when we first meet Momoe, the first girl who's killed, the one who was molested on the train, is talking about how like she doesn't even think she's that feminine, and it cuts to Momoe going, ugh, because she's like resentful of this girl.
Yeah, she looks off to the side.
Yeah, and it's like, you're just a bitch. You're such a
Yeah, everything's about her,
Yeah.
even when like the other person is clearly dealing with way worse shit.
You're talking to a literal dead girl who was molested. Like, and you're like,
It's like, you think you have it hard? I don't know.
I did like what you said, Cube, but Chiyomi sounds like she has a much better, like, even just outlook on life, is because, like, Rika said that she went up to him and asked her for money, and Chiyomi was like, piss off. It's like, yeah!
Yeah.
go you!
Live your best life, Jimmy. And then, like, so they're like, I wonder what happened to Nehru. None of them know what happened to her, and they're like, hey, maybe we should go see what the Akkas are up to. Maybe they'll know or whatever. And then they don't. They don't go see the Akkas.
No.
They don't care that much.
That scene's meant to be like the resolution of Momo's arc to some extent, because it's like she's saying how she won't go. At first, Rika's calling her a coward, because Rika still wants revenge, and then Ai says, hey, look, you'd be really upset if something happened to Momo. I think the idea here with why Dot and Hyphen and the other one show up to just kill the Pokemon and scare the girls, I think the idea is meant to be that, like, after the point where they've saved the girls, they would have the option of going on to be warriors of Eros, whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah.
But that would involve directly fighting Frill, I would assume. So Frill's subordinates turn up to scare the shit out of them to make them not want to fight, which seems to work on Momoe. Like, at this point, she's like, "No, I'm done. I'm scared. I don't want to risk my life." It doesn't make as much sense with Rika, because in Rika's case, it's like the Akkas are stopping her from doing that, not Frill. But yeah,
Yeah, they say because she's too angry, she might get taken by Frill.
which I assume means that Frill might be able to convince her to kill herself, like she tried to do with Ai, maybe, which is maybe what was happening in that scene. I think that's the idea. Obviously, it's fucking nonsense, and it's tied in with all that stuff about 14-year-old girls. So, no thanks. But
I guess theoretically they're gonna go see the Akkas, but then they get that call from the secretary lady, and they have a much more important scene to do.
Well, that's the thing, because Rika's all down for going and continuing to fight to try and figure out what's happened to Nehru, but something makes her change her mind. What makes her change her mind?
It's time for the real important revelations of this episode. Koito, who cares? Most important character, Nehru. So we gotta go to her apartment where she was living, since she's missing and the secretary wants to talk to them. And the secretary is gonna let him know that the person that she met off screen mostly that was acting all cold to her wasn't Nehru. It was Airu, her little sister, but not.
Now, the one who stabbed her in the back with something like a claw and then killed herself, who Nehru has apparently saved.
Yeah.
And is now back because of that. Also, who else is here?
well, but then they get to Nehru's apartment, and it's everyone's favorite character, dream waifu, I guess. It's Kotobuki. It's the girl with albinism that looks like a crazy alien girl, and she's like, hey.
But she's also... I just love this, because she's like, yeah, I'm not the one you know. I'm a different one from a parallel universe. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a mechanic now, I guess, is that she just popped in from a parallel world, and she's like, hey, the me here was dead, so I just thought I'd come here and hang out. I just love that not only is this idiot here, that Nehru's evil sister is also just running around doing whatever, and no one cares. Like... They're just being left to their own devices. Okay, but see, I don't think she's supposed to be an evil sister because she didn't do anything bad to any people, Phoenix.
Oh.
It's fine, because while Kotobuki's here, they need to watch Nehru's Spinal Dream, but we don't get to watch it because there isn't money for that. There's even that thing where it's like, so you hear Nehru arguing with her sister on screen, and they're having like a thing where you can tell that Nehru's sister is being a jackass to her. And Nehru's like, oh shit, all three of you came for me. But then when they actually show us a scene of Nehru, we don't see the three coming for her. We just see her alone in a waters, and Frill comes, and everything's very broken. And Frill says to Nehru, hey, I think we could be friends because we're so much alike, and I can give you what you want if you join me. You want to be human. Because Eddie, would she want to be human? What's her true backstory?
There are so many AIs in this anime. There's so many eyes and AIs. Nehru's a robot, I guess.
Yeah, because we always thought that she was a super test tube baby person.
I think she just was lying and like took Airu's story But then it's like, what the fuck did the doctors do when she went to the hospital in the first few episodes?
Yeah, so what Kotobuki says? Kotobuki says that, apparently the me in this world made Nehru as a copy of Iru, her quote-unquote little sister, and so Nehru is a robot or an AI flesh person like Frill, who was made based on Iru, and we're just learning that now and it's bad. It's very bad. It's so bad.
And what immediately happens? What is one character's immediate reaction to finding out that she's not an artificial human in the sense of a test tube baby? She's an artificial human in the sense of maybe her brain's a computer? Maybe?
Oh my god. Rika bounces so fast. She's like, machine? Nah, not for me. Going.
It's so funny.
So fast.
Just like immediately like, I'm out.
There was like no time to process the information. She just got up and left.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not risking my life for some fucking machine. Like, she's your friend.
Rika shouldn't even know that AIs are a thing. Like, did I tell her about Frill? She's just like, oh, what? Nehru was a robot? Fuck it.
And also, like, she wasn't going to, up to this point, she didn't want to fight because she wanted to save Nehru. She wanted to fight because she wanted revenge. That was her motivation. But now it's like, oh, well, I don't care about that anymore because I found out she's a robot and I hate robots that much. I'm leaving.
She forgot what her character motivation from like 5 minutes ago was. Damn it. But then we cut to that weird dock scene where Rika is like, I want to die now. I want to be with Mannen, her turtle, and Chiemi, the one that's a simp for me and not the one that exists in real life that is living her best life. And so I think I just need to die. And I was like, yeah.
And then she leaves. Or at least that's what we see next.
Yeah, so it's like...
The Akkas were right, I guess, in terms of Friddle would probably be pretty easily be able to talk her into killing herself. So we can't let her fight.
But does I even care about that?
Apparently not. Apparently that's not a big deal because I's got... Well, what does I do next?
Oh, it's time for yeet. Because this is when we see that single shot of Nehru laying in the field. So that's when I thought that it's established that she killed herself to join Frill in the death dream zone.
Where she gets to be human, I suppose.
As one does.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, then you cut to I and she's getting a call from Nehru and she yeet phones.
Yeah. I had a little trouble following what was going on here at first because I thought that was her calling Nehru, which she'd been trying to do. Like she kept calling her earlier in the episode trying to figure out where she was. And now she's getting a call.
Before he found out she's a machine.
Yeah, now she knows she's a machine. She's like, fuck it. But then it immediately cuts to a scene of her crying on her mum's lap saying I did a horrible thing.
I like to think the mom is just thinking like, it's okay if you broke your phone, sweetie.
Yeah, she like doesn't ask her any questions about what happened. She's just like, it's fine. It's fine.
But then what happens? Then what happens? What happens next?
Then it cuts to, then there's a time skip and she transferred schools because there was no reason for her to stay in this school. It's weird because she says, I didn't want to transfer schools, but there was no reason for me to stay at this one. So what the fuck?
It's like she's narrating this like a letter to Nehru or someone. All right, there's just a completely pointless time skip because months pass and she's just sort of talking about how, yeah, I regret a lot of what happened. We don't talk to each other anymore. I'm still lonely.
Oh yeah, she says, I wonder if Nehru ever became human.
Yeah, I have failed to follow up or investigate anything. I'm not talking to my friends anymore. I don't know, but I'm wearing different clothes. And then she gets to the shop where she ran into Nehru that time and then is like suddenly like, no! And she runs off to see the Akkas and she's going to become a warrior of Eros. And the Akkas are like, you suck. And she's like, I'm back! And that's the show.
No, yeah, she doesn't even mention the whole Eros and Thanatos thing. I guess the idea was supposed to be that she was no longer sold on becoming that after all the other bad things happened or whatever. But she's like, Otoi is back now, and she's back specifically to save Nehru.
Yeah, she not even save. She wants to talk to her. She wants to go and talk to her. But why do we need a time skip? Why couldn't that have been her reaction after she yeeted the phone for some reason? And why did she eat the phone?
Oh no.
And why did or any of this?
I have a theory that like a year has passed because it's like the same weather. Like they bring back that conversation where Neru and I are just like, the weather. And then like as I is walking, like these two girls are having the same exact conversation as
Yeah, you're right.
they like pass her. So I'm like, has it been a year?
What the fuck? And hey, remember how she promised Other Eye that she was gonna learn to save
Yeah,
her?
it's like she never mind. Forget
No,
about
don't
it.
worry about it.
Machine.
The way she talks about everything that happened.
But it's just that's the thing, is that the important thing now is Nehru, apparently, who I waited a year to do anything about. Apparently.
And she talks about what happened back then, like, oh, we drifted apart from each other or whatever, but I could never forget that thrilling season. Like, she's all wistful about it.
I have that written down because I was like, this was a very short warning for what's to come.
I like any time a show uses the word season like that, because like it feels like it's a meta thing of saying, oh, we had a great season, didn't we? Wasn't this a good season of TV?
It was a wonderful season of this show. I can't wait for the next one. The fucking balls to go 2.5 months and then have your super special finale. And it's, by the way, Koito was a teen seductress. Nehru is a robot. I is maybe going to do something about that now. End of show.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We're going to introduce an entirely new motivation for her that is disconnected from what you saw in the last episode.
Fua, fua, da, 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 da. Ba, 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 da, ha, da, ba, da.
The last 3 episodes are just like, really are just madness. Like every new episode introduces like 3 new ideas and none of them are followed up on. And everything in terms of like tying up the original plot, there's just little hand waves, and the hand waves are terrible. Like Koito was an evil seductress. Don't worry about it. But she's alive, so it's fine.
There's so much handwave science as well. Why even bother making it like, well, this was all like actual literal and it was science, and it's like, we're not going to explain it though, or
No.
even attempt to.
Also, people can just pop in at any time from parallel worlds, but no one cares.
That's the thing, is it's like, we don't even really understand what the fuck the Yakas are up to, or Frill. We have these 2 competing forces that the girls work with, and we don't really know what they're doing. I feel like by the end of season 1, we should have had some idea.
Yeah, by the way, this is the final boss who maybe did something during this show?
And the Yakas are trying to stop girls from killing themselves, but also, like, the thing they're doing isn't doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's like, well, I guess we're sort of bringing girls back, but like that, it ends up driving the girls we use to suicide. So I'm not really sure what the.
Well, there was this one scene where Aka is talking to Aka, and he's like, you don't really care about Frill. It's like, as long as we can bring like their daughter Himari, I think,
Yeah.
like back. Like, that was the goal. So, like, really, they don't give a shit about, like, all these girls that killed themselves. Like, they're just trying to find a way, I guess, to bring back their dead daughter, or at least, like, a parallel world version of their daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. If they're only bringing parallel world versions back, well, apparently you can just pop in people from parallel worlds at any point.
So, like, the girls that killed themselves are still dead. They're not coming back. We're just stealing different girls.
I'm not sure about that, because I thought that this episode did kind of imply that the girls do come back. They just are disconnected from like one specific person for some reason.
For no reason, for drama. Yeah, because it's like, it would make more sense if they don't remember you because they're a parallel world version, but they don't say that. They say that there's noise, and that means that your friends have to forget you for drama.
Yeah, because like the albino girl who shows up, she mentioned she could only come here because the other version of her is dead. I assume the mechanic was that the girl you save is the one from your universe, but the girls that you meet in the dreams are from parallel ones. I guess. Is that the idea?
Maybe?
I don't know.
You say that like there was an idea of how this works.
Yeah, fair.
It's just like, how do you even... I don't understand how you write this show and are like, I did. This makes sense.
Yeah, it's baffling.
I am extremely convinced. I was convinced, like, about, like, halfway through the show that they just rewrote the whole story. Like, I had a feeling that they were starting off with, like, the teacher is the villain, And then they were like, nah, we made it too obvious, and now we can't do like a big plot twist, so we gotta change it. And then they did it with like literally every aspect of the plot and like where the show was going. They were like, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely feels like there was either they didn't know where they were going or there was some giant like change of mind somewhere. But yeah.
Yeah, because again, a lot of the scenes make no sense with where they went with Sawaki. If like there's no excuse for them making those scenes that way with that framing if they knew what was gonna happen.
Yeah, but also like there's so much of the show that makes no sense. Like and I mean, and aside from even all of that, like I was saying before, the consistent things are let's watch girls suffer for no good reason, just for gratuitous fun. And also, girls are untrustworthy and dangerous, but also super hot when they're 14. Like that's the only consistent thing in the show. Even aside from the plot problems and everything else, this is a fucking gross show.
Girls be shopping and also be emotional.
Yeah.
Can we understand them? Probably not.
Women empowerment.
Yeah.
It's reimagining female empowerment.
That's the thing that kills me about the coverage of this show is that like there's I've seen at least 3 articles on like Polygon and AV Club and stuff talking about how empowering the show is for women and how it's really deep and really gets into these serious issues, and every single one is written by a dude. That's just dudes, shut up. Fucking anime dudes.
This might be the most offensive show that I've watched for anime as a girl, and you know how much horrible shit I watch.
It's unique in terms of the gender politics, I think. Like in terms of what it because it's sort of, on the one hand, it's exploitative, which a lot of those other sort of dodgier shows like Sight and that are. But this one has also got things to say about women. And like, those things are really, really bad. Like,
Eddie can appreciate, like, in Higurashi, horrible things happen to these teens. And sometimes they're crazy and kill people and all that stuff. But it's never like, also, this was Rika's fault for being such a fucking girl. It's like, it's so
women.
It's one of the, like a silent voice and a couple other things. It's just one of those things where, like, when I think about people not seeing it, it legitimately frustrates me.
Yeah, no, 100%. I don't get how you watch it and you don't see what the show is saying, shouting at you the whole time.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, that's Egg. Anyone have any closing Egg thoughts?
Realistically speaking, are we getting a second season?
I can't imagine we are, right?
You wouldn't have thought so.
I feel like they really want it, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
I mean, it kills me because like there are much better shows that deserve second seasons and haven't got them. If this gets a second season, I'll be very upset. Like if this gets a second season and Bloom Into You doesn't, I'm gonna be real mad.
I guess it all depends on. Well, I mean, I guess theoretically it all depends on like Blu-ray sales. Which I feel like people have to have fallen off the show in Japan. They must.
I'm super curious how it's done in Japan. Like it's obviously it's always really hard for us to tell apart from just looking at raw sales numbers, but I'm really curious, like how it's being taken over there.
Yeah.
Because then, like again, you look at the response here, and like while a lot of people have fallen off, that AV Club article about how empowering it was written after the last episode came out.
Look, you can't judge based on the clickbaits. I want to not believe that that's what most humans would think. I can't live in that world. Can't. But yeah, it's like I don't even know. Like, obviously, it was big here, and a lot of people talked about it. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was much bigger here than it was in Japan, in terms of like the discourse and everything.
Possibly.
Gender politics. From, what is it, foreigners for Japanese?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the line in odd text. Eddie, you saying that, like, Higurashi and this were the two things you decided to give a go. I feel so bad.
I was like, Wonder Egg looks good. The first episode's promising. And then Higurashi was supposed to be a reboot, so it's like, no surprises there. Like, I know what's happening.
Even if it's bad, it's like it's not like you expected Higurashi to be super thoughtful and gentle with like some shit's gonna go down, and you're there for that, and you sign up for that when you come in.
I wanted like Wonder Egg was gonna be the show where it's like I tested my like trust on, and then Higurashi was like the fallback of like, yeah, I turned my brain off. It's spooky month. It's time to like down with the murder in the show, and the both were like, psych.
God damn it.
This was a pretty good season for like kind of decent anime. Otherwise, it's just these two. Well, there's a couple other bad ones. Like obviously, Shadow's House went bad places.
Wait, Shadow House was the season after that, though.
Oh yeah,
yeah. This
You're right.
was not this season, but the season before when Wonder Egg and Higurashi were like airing.
That was a dodgy ass season. Nothing worked out from that season. Even the one I was.
Yeah, that was actually a cursed ass season.
Yeah, even like Horimiya ended up, which was like started off so nice, ended up going some pretty dodgy places. So yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, I can't really give opinions on Higurashi yet because it's still going. But like my trust, like every Tuesday and Thursday, I felt like I was being played with. I was like, what's gonna happen now?
Oh, you hurt me, concept of anime. Oh, also, we should mention, like, not only is like the writing and stuff fucked up, but obviously there was a lot of bad visuals. But what came out
Already.
online is that a lot of the work was being done by fucking like teenagers and other like Western want to work in anime people on Twitter, and
I
so they
heard
would be
about that.
Yeah, so they'd be posting like, "Yay, I got to work on some Sakuga for the last 2 episodes of Wonder Egg. I'm just so pumped. I'm so honored." And you'd find out it's a fucking 17-year-old that they were getting because of crunch, and you know there's no way that they were like paying them well and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus Christ, what is happening at Cloverworks?
Well, that's
There was so many tweets like that where it was like the cute Wonder Egg art, and they're like, please watch this episode that I worked on, heart. And it's like, I'm just thinking about the rest of the animation team that like went to the hospital during its production.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you know, that's the only reason these Westerners got this opportunity is because everything was super fucked.
Yeah, because they were desperate. Yeah.
You want to be happy for them, but it's like everything's not okay.
It's that thing of when people were sort of fooling themselves into thinking that like this last episode they're going to have all this time to get it right. It's like no. That time the Cloverworks has would have been booked out to do whatever the next anime there is they're working on. If they don't get the anime finished in the allotted time they have, like they don't just have more spare time. They didn't just have like the next month free to like to just really go to town on this episode. This is why they're getting in these kids. Like it's
They'd be making Shadow's House.
Yeah, they're doing the other shit they're doing. There's some, it really seems like something went fucking badly wrong.
Weren't they doing 2 other animes like when Wonder Eggs first started airing? It was like
Yeah.
Horimiya and like The Promised Neverland.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would hope that maybe during this season they had a little more time because they were only doing one production-heavy show, but no.
Turns out no.
No.
Oh boy.
Yeah, something went real wrong. I mean, COVID is probably, partially to blame for all this sort of stuff, but still. Ugh. Anyway.
The worst kind of people are the ones that are like, oh, it had such potential, but then, production issues ruined what could have been the perfect show. And it's like,
No, it was bad.
Thinking about all these people that were like with the show until this most recent
Yeah.
the finale episode, they were like, wow, I can't believe it's gone to the shit. But like they're talking about like the way it looks.
Yeah.
They're not really talking a lot about the writing or what happens. Like some people are like, yeah, I didn't care, or like I was confused, but like it's always about how it looks. Like I guess anime can get away with anything if it looks good.
Yeah. That seems to be the pattern.
Yeah.
Is that like people were so willing to like ignore awful shit happening in a show if it looks nice and sounds nice. And not even necessarily awful shit, just like a bad show. Like Violet Evergarden is for the most part not that problematic. Like there's a couple of problematic things, but it's mostly just dull. Like nothing happens and the character's boring, but it's pretty. So everyone's like, oh, anime of the year.
every frame has 50 layers. It's a perfect show. And I think it's also like it's an easy way of being like, now I don't have to reckon with the fact that the show I liked is really horrible and sexist and stupid, because I can just be like, oh yeah, the animation was really bad at the end, so that's too bad.
The other one that blew my mind was I think there was a person who was reviewing every episode for Anime News Network,
Oh my god.
and they
No.
had been defending the show up until this last episode, and they really laid into the whole Koito thing and really took exception to
Oh.
that. And I was like, okay, I agree with you, but rest of the show, Like, you want to go up and just gently take their hand and say, hey, now that you saw the Koido thing, what if you go back and watch the show again with that in mind? Like,
Yeah,
look at the show.
all the times that we said, like, this is really fucked up, and you were like, oh, I'm sure it's unreliable narrator, or they're gonna come around, and the Akkas are gonna be the bad guys, or whatever. Well, look what fucking happened.
I mean, I guess the Akkas are the bad guys. Like, they don't give a shit about, like, the
Yeah.
girls fighting or the girls that killed themselves. Like, they only care about their daughter. And I guess it's a really great thing that Ai has come back to this system just to see her friend again.
It's like the show knows that they're bad, but it doesn't think they're that bad.
It's one of those things where, like, again, there's the opportunity for a good story there, where like both major forces are fucked in their own way, but Aya's got something that she wants to do that's good, so she's gonna like navigate between those two forces to make it happen. There's like a thing you could do there, but yeah, like you say, I'm not sure they actually think the actors are all that bad, like including the guy who like kicked his daughter down the stairs that he made.
Yeah, especially
my
because
God.
if you make that show and you understand that the Akkas aren't okay at all, I don't think you can have that scene after Ai learns everything about them and then is like, I'm gonna become a warrior of arrows and fight Thanatos, yay!
Yeah.
Clearly she doesn't understand that they're the worst people ever after learning everything about them.
And also, who are the warriors of Eros? Who is Thanatos? What are they fighting? Why did you just say this?
It has to be Frill. Oh, I know it's a Freud thing. For anyone who wants to fucking come at me and be like, clearly you don't know that these terms are used by Freud to mean things, blah, 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 blah. I know. It's still stupid. Don't at me. Stupid.
Anyway.
Well, are you all feeling fucking empowered? Are we empowered, ladies?
I'm so tired.
Yeah, that's kind of my reaction too. It's just, this is exhausting. Just an exhausting show.
Well, you better not go to sleep. You can't sleep. It's very dangerous in there.
I'll get a Pokemon, but then they'll kill it shortly afterwards, and I'll be really upset.
Oh yeah, and that one scene they say like you imprinted on them as their mothers, as opposed to like they imprinted on you as their mothers, and I was like, is it just because
What?
you're girls? And so if a girl is given something, it's like, haha, now your woman hormones have attached to this.
Seems about right. Seems in line with the rest of the show's thinking.
Ay. Well, thank you for coming and talking to us about the rotten eggy, Eddie.
Yeah, it's fun. We're all in pain together. But yeah, I'm really glad because when not a lot of people were talking about this show. I guess I'm just following all the wrong people on Twitter, but because only 2 people on my timeline were talking, and that was you, Cube, and like another mutual, and it was like completely opposite forces working here. Because
Did your other mutual love it?
at the time, for like a decent chunk of the anime, they loved it. They don't now, but and I felt like until I saw your tweets, I thought I was going insane. Like I was watching Wonder Egg, and I even did like a cute little like fan art of Ai like on after like the 3rd episode, and like so like from 4 and onwards, I was like oh, maybe they can fix this, and then after that I'm just like, am I the only one that can see that this show is really like, it's going insane, it's going off the rails here?
I remember you like tweeted during the Rika episode, and I was like, oh no, does she like it? Does she think it's a really good show? And you were just like, I don't get what this is. I don't understand.
Cause like, I kind of like Rika, like she's a huge bitch and she's awful. And so obviously I don't like that part of her, but I love her design, and her episode had some really fun fight scenes. But like the whole time I was watching, like as soon as she's told like her backstory with Chiemi, I could just not stop thinking about like fat phobia. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we're gonna have like a fat phobic character be one of the main characters here.
Yeah.
Like whether or not she actually was, like, it's still awful.
Yeah, that part at least I was like, I feel like that's something that anime in general is not over whatsoever. So like I wasn't surprised by that. I was like, fat shaming, that's really fucking typical.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Rika's one of those characters that's like, I would be okay with if she grew as a person and became a less shit person over the course of the show, but then she didn't.
No. Not even a little
Yeah.
bit.
I was really glad that you invited me on this because I was sitting in my room and I'm like, oh my god, is it just me? Maybe I'm overthinking some things. Maybe I'm not understanding these episodes.
Look, this is the important service we provide. We're out here being like the Anatubers are wrong. They're wrong. Everyone's wrong. It's bad.
Yeah, I was like actually looking up like videos on YouTube. I was like hoping someone had like a different opinion other than egg is good. Like once we were like halfway into the show, because I was like, it can't just be me. So sometimes I'd be lurking in the Discord server. I'd be like, okay, it's not just me.
Some of the other Anatubers have started to come around, but again, it's that thing of like, oh, it really went off the rails in the last couple episodes. It's like, no, no.
Yeah, it took a long time.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just sitting over here in a corner and everyone else is, like talking about, oh, it's so great and stuff. And we're like, once you understand, you can join us. Join us and we can have real conversations about the anime.
Oh, well, I guess we should call it a day.
Yeah.
Never think about egg again.
No, I will always think about Egg. Season 2, 6 seasons in a movie.
I'll never forget this thrilling season.
Oh, yeah, Eddie, thanks for coming on. I hope one day anime doesn't betray you.
Look, good anime out there. I still believe.
Yeah, I watched Odd Taxi. It was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Shit, I need to finish it. I gotta finish it. I haven't finished it yet.
Please do. I liked it a lot.
Hell yeah. So, Eddie, before we go, where can we find your work?
So you can find me in a few places, but mostly Twitter because that's the only place I really have the energy for anymore. And my Twitter is Sketch Eddie, but there's like an underscore underneath between Sketch and Eddie. So if you just search up Sketch Eddie, you'll find like a suspended account, and that's my worst enemy because they won't give me my name back.
The true enemy. But yeah, you should go there. There's a lot of cool fan art of this comic called Sleepless Domain. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh, you can find so much of it on Tumblr.
Hey.
Also, that's Eddie with a Y, not Eddie with an IE, just in case you're looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, EDDY. Okay, everybody leave and go watch Odd Taxi instead of Wonder Egg. Okay. Bye.
Popular